Hey guys, Matt here from Loon Outdoors. Today we're going to be tying a little steelhead creature. We're going to start off with an Ahrex 482. It's a stinger hook, but it works great for this as well. 3/16 pink gritty bead, some blue-black rubber legs, and Vivus 50D for our thread. I'm going to start by moving the bead back towards like the bend of the hook so that we can tie in our antenna. And you want to make sure to lash these down nice and tight so the bead will still slide back over them. And if you notice, what I like to do is I bring these pretty far past where the bead will be living. And the reason for that is I feel like I can continue my thread wraps back behind there and creating a more secure connection for a better built fly. So we'll slide our bead back forward. That's going to push our antenna kind of in a forward position. We can trim them at this point. They do become kind of problematic and a pain in the buns when you leave them long and you're doing thread wraps for the rest of the fly. So we're going to restart our thread. We'll go ahead and take a nice deep touching turn all the way into the bend of that hook. Pretty deep. I'm going to go, as Nick Davis from 239 Flies would say, at least barb deep. As always, you can debarb this fly before you go fish. So I'm going to use our same blue-black rubber legs here for our tail segment. And I tie these in like if you were looking at a clock, like a 9 and 3. So kind of top of the fly is 12 o'clock, and these are going to live on each side. Kind of progress forward, and what I'm going to do now is we're going to create the body, and I use some Vivus flat braid. You could also use any number of braided materials depending on the color that you were wanting to achieve. This is just kind of a dark stone with some blues and pinks. Doesn't really imitate anything in the wild. It's more of an attractor pattern. But, you know, this works great for regular stonefly colors, salmon fly colors, even squallas. You could tie it much smaller for, you know, like a little winter stone if you wanted. I'm going to take some pearl, like flashabou. If you don't have it on a spool, you can just use standard flashabou. That will work equally as well. So next up, I'm going to start by taking the flat braid, and we're just going to work forward here, nice and easy. Touching turns. This is a really easy product to work with, and you can see I start to come back over itself. And the reason that I'm doing this is I'm just creating a little bit more of a taper for this bug. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this all the way up and just until I get my taper right where I want it. And I bring it into the thorax area, just again, so it's a nice secure connection and it's, you know, back and forth over itself. Next, we're going to pull that flashabou, and this will create like segmentation and just a little bit of flash. I mildly increase the gap of my flashabou for like a ribbing. Uh, the effect looks great for showing your friends. I'm not sure that the fish really care if there's a major difference there. I'm going to introduce some flow to the fly. The cool thing is with that that flat braid, it has a lot of porous sections to it. So the UV flow really penetrates deep in there all the way down to your thread wraps. There is some translucency to it, so I feel like the UV light penetrates. And you've basically built like a fiberglass boat for a fly body. It's going to be ultra durable, last you through a bunch of fish with teeth, and, you know, live to fish another day. So I'm going to pull 2 strands of flashabou here, And this is going to be kind of my tribute to Mike Mercer, where you have this kind of Flashaboo wing case. And for the wing case, I'm just going to use the same flat braid. It works great, and it kind of creates this cool multifaceted look underneath the UV resin. So the next thing that we do here is we're going to bring our legs in, and again, it's at the 9 and 3 o'clock position. And these are going to be trimmed to fit, so I'm going to be leaving them long right now. But you can see I got one wrap down, and I just kind of bring that around to the other side right where I want it. Just kind of sticking with my darker colored theme, I'm going to use a little bit of peacock herl here. It's one of the true UV iridescent pieces of material out there in the world, and I feel like it's one of the reasons fish eat flies. So it's a great natural fiber, has a ton of cool attributes that you can't find elsewhere in the natural world, so it gets included on a lot of patterns. So when I'm working with multiple stems, I do like to twist them a bit. I feel like it can help add, it's kind of like strength in numbers. So you're almost building a rope out of the peacock herl. And I'm just going to wrap this up and kind of keep wrapping. Even though it looks full, I want to make a nice compact body. I don't mind going back over and building more and more of a thorax to kind of build that thing up as best as possible. Once I get it where I want it to be, keep pushing forward, and we'll go ahead and just pin it down with the bobbin right behind the collar there. You got to work with it just a little bit to it's kind of awkward with the hands, but we'll trim it off there. And next we'll pull our flat braid, and you can see I tied in two pieces, so I halved it, and that's because I wanted a little bit wider wing case. I'm going to pin it down and let it suck right over the bead, right where the collar is going to finish out. And with this 50D, you're able to pull that in there really tight. It's never going to pop apart. I'm going to trim them one at a time. A few wraps for security reasons, and we'll pull that Flashaboo over. So you can see we create a nice little wing case there. You've got a stellar amount of hook gap, super bomb-proof fly. So if you're, fishing this in Tierra del Fuego for some sort of ungodly large sea run brown, it's going to, hold up, stand the test of time, and not get bent out. But it's not too big that it's going to absolutely destroy smaller fish. So I touch up my thread wraps here. You could use, permanent marker of choice. And I'm going to come back in on this with some flow and create a nice progressive sized wing case or bubble on this. I like to let it soak in there. Like I told you with the body, it's going to create a nice strong bond. It's not going to pop off after a few casts. We'll go ahead and hit it with the infinity light and get it all cured up. I'd rather go with multiple thin coats than one big gloppy coat of stuff typically. So thin or flow are both going to be great products here. I like to use the flow first because of its penetrating value. Kind of trim to fit there. Get our legs. I kind of keep them long, shorter tail than we had. Just a lot of movement and shaking going on. Hope you guys can find a place for this in your box, and we'll catch you next time.